Boom. Welcome to another Friday Mastermind, Trust Engine Friday Mastermind. Today, we are going to focus again on ChatGPT. How do we turn this into a competitive advantage? We've got Robert Stover to lead this jam session. We also have Dan Keller. I think Dan may have to jump in and jump out of this because his day job is doing loans. And he's always given back. But Dan, are you gonna? How much of the time do you think you'll be here today? Just so I know.
I think I can make it till about the halfway point.
Okay, so
9:25, 9:30.
Noted. Any of the real world Dan Keller magic? Let's get it in the first 30. Do want to remind everybody this is a mastermind, and especially when it comes to how do we turn ChatGPT and all AI into a competitive advantage as local referral-based mortgage professionals. Like, let's learn together. So when we reach out to you and ask you a question in chat, please participate. If you have questions, there are no bad questions, ask those in chat. And we have Mr. Win by Noon, Todd Bookspan. What's up, brother?
Hey, good morning. You know, I think there's no hotter topic right now than ChatGPT and artificial intelligence. And anytime I've got an opportunity to learn from not just Robert, but also to have Dan here as well, I'm excited to be here and learn alongside of the rest of you.
Sweet. Deborah Bird, what's going on? Anything you want to say before we kick this party off?
No, I'm super excited to learn from both, the GOATs, Robert and Dan, and our social media scheduling tool that we built that I know we're finally getting you on board, Dave, integrates with ChatGPT. So now you can utilize it with creating your content a little bit easier and simplify the process so you guys can win by noon and do the activities that create the most revenue for your time. So I'm ready to learn. I've got my planner, my notes. I'm ready to go.
And Deborah, we may want to schedule a Friday to do a more tactical session around that, so you can show everybody one, remind them how to build a calendar, to how your platform works. So let's put that on the calendar. Yeah. Go with it.
Got it.
All right. And then one more thing before I bring Robert over on stage and hand it off to him. Today is the last day to get a discount on Mortgage Mastermind Summit in Las Vegas in June. It's June 7th through 9th. Make sure you get your tickets. Use the Savage. Actually, it's 23. I'm going to remove that 0 in a second. But Savage 23 is how you get a discount, $100 off. And today is the last day. So if you're going to go, get your tickets today. So with that said, just a reminder, everybody, Robert is a marketing consultant, $10,000 a day type marketing consultant. He also does some speaking. He has spoken for Dan Keller to a bunch of realtors in the past. I've had a relationship, professionally for over 30 years. But Robert's really become a close personal friend and my marketing go-to person. So to have him teaching us how to use ChatGPT, I think is a real treat and something of extreme value for anyone. So Robert, what do you want to teach us today? And what do we want to talk about?
Well, let's not talk about chat. Let's talk about strategy. With all the chat's exciting, it's incredible, and we'll see some of it today. But we kind of have to take a step back and look at the broader picture and go, what are we doing? Where are we going in this market? And I think I want to share the screen here to get into that. And we talked a bit about it a couple Tuesdays ago. Let me see if that shares. Can everybody see that?
Oh boy.
There it goes.
All
right. So I walk into my office yesterday, and this is what I see. And there's actually a lot more piles outside of the camera frame. There's coins everywhere. In that little jar back there, some jar I've had for 20 years that I throw change into. So my son got the idea somewhere that he was going to find this magic penny that was worth all this money. He looked on some coin collector sites or something, and so there's going to be all this treasure that he's going to find in these old coins of mine. And I'm going like, oh, brother. So his teacher at school, because he mentioned to his teacher at school that he's going to do this, his math teacher. And his math teacher said, don't bother wasting your time. The odds of you finding a coin worth anything are astronomical. It's a complete and utter waste of time. So my kid dives in anyway, and he scatters these coins all over the place. And let's see if the camera comes up. What does he find?
No
That
way.
is a 1961 M Mint, Maryland Mint coin. And on the back, it's missing a signature or the stamp
Hey,
FG, which are the
are we supposed to be
designers'
seeing that-
names.
Are we supposed
And
to be
it's-
seeing the close-up, Stover?
I don't know if I can get it close up.
Okay.
It's nothing special. It's a penny.
Stop sharing for a second. We can
We'll
see it.
stop sharing your screen, Stover, and then we can
Oh.
actually see you. There we go.
That better?
That's much better.
All right. I can't get the angle. It's a penny. I'm now forbidden to touch it, which is why it's in this plastic bag, because it's worth anywhere, I guess, from $100 to $5,000, depending on the condition it's in.
Wow.
And so that was a needle in a haystack. But how did he find it? And the only way he found that is he knew exactly what he was looking for. He specifically was looking for a 1961 penny with a D mark that was missing an F and G on the back. And that allowed him to make those piles of coins and lay them out everywhere. And we'll get that back up here. That allowed him to lay these coins out everywhere and very quickly sort through and put them into different piles by years and all this other stuff to find what he was looking for. In this market, as realtors, as lenders, we have to know exactly what we're looking for. This is a tough market. Look at that floor picture. That's your database. That's your social media marketing. That's everything. Not all of those coins or those people are of equal value right now in this market. So strategically, we have to target who has got the highest probability. And right now it's sellers are what are most valuable to our realtor partners and most valuable to us. A seller is often worth 2 loans. Right now, like I've mentioned before, I talked to a lot of realtors. They're like, I got 15 pre-approved buyers. We don't have inventory. What do they need? They need listings. And so when you look at creating stuff with ChatGPT, which you can do now faster and better, if you're not going right after people that can sell, you're losing opportunity. On the other hand, when you do create content that goes right after people that can sell, all the other coins, all the other people in your database are going to be looking at you, giving expert advice. Your brand's building all along as an expert in loan market. After our chat last time, Dave's like, you know, that ladder thing might look better as a pyramid or as an iceberg. So I redid it, just sketched it out real quick for you guys. Dave's got a much more professional version he's working on. But we talked about, as for realtors, our realtor partners, most of the behavior that happens before somebody lists or sells their home happens below the surface. It's only after they start home shopping or reach out for a loan pre-approval or something like that that they pop on our radar. They fill out a mortgage calculator online and they're a lead now, or they do something on Zillow and they're a lead now, right? So that's a very minimal. What's going on below the surface is people are watching too much HGTV. They start driving neighborhoods. They've got a lot of questions. There we go. They've got a lot of questions in their minds. And so they start with no desire, discontent, desire, seeking solutions, deciding on options, and all the way up to choosing to sell. All of that's going on, or much of it, below the surface. But with content, we can target them specifically. We can almost talk them and they're going like, oh, wow, how did you know what I was thinking, right? So you can write something and it's fishing. It's a little bit blind. You don't have sonar necessarily where you can see below the surface. So you have to choose a bait, know what fish you're going after, and drop it in and reel it. And then all the other fish that don't eat that bait aren't going to be biting on it. Catfish aren't going to be biting on a bass lure, right? So if we're going after catfish, we know they're down on the bottom and we need some stink bait or something to go after them. So with our content,
Hey, Stover,
we really need to zero in.
Stover, if I can just say something real quick. Guys, you know, one of the reasons why I have our marketing team working on some content to bring this lesson that Stover brought to us a few sessions ago is because we need to be able to know this so well that we can execute on this as marketers ourselves. And then I make the case that we need to know this so well that we can bring this as a competitive advantage to real estate agents and referral partners and really describe this. So I'm working on some visuals to bring some of Stover's lessons to life, but I wanted you guys to know the why. I want to help you guys execute for yourselves. I want to help you execute for partners. So if you have any feedback, play it forward. And as Stover and I get to the point where we feel like this visual is everything we want it to be, we will be posting this in the Facebook group, the Trust Engine Facebook group. Anyways, back to you, Stover. If you want to share anything on your screen, go ahead.
All right. So I just talk for a moment because I think we should go to the audience here. So I kind of sketched out a list. I got one if this doesn't work out, but so we have to ask in this market right now, we've got homeowners locked in place with really, really, really low interest rates. A lot of them want to buy, but they're scared because they look at high interest rates. And they're going like, well, I don't want to give up my low interest rate and then get something with a high interest rate. And right there at that moment in time, they take themselves out of the market. But you know what? There's a lot of stuff they don't know or that they haven't considered. And that's where you as a real estate finance expert can come in and go, hey, you might have not considered this, or you might not have considered this. So around that is a whole constellation of content that you can create that educates, that makes you stand apart, that they're not hearing from anyone else. They're having these conversations. They're talking to coworkers about, oh yeah, we want to move up. We can't, we're stuck where we're at, right? So what's going on in their heads? How are they talking? What are they saying? Things like that. So in the chat, what I would like you guys to do is create. So in this market right now, and it was ironic as there's two of them in our neighborhood. What are preconditions or necessary conditions or mindsets that people have that they go ahead and put their home for sale in this market and either move up or move out or whatever? So in the chat, I want to see you guys, what are some things that are going on for people that would make them sell their home in this high interest market?
And Dan,
those are the fish. Those are the
Dan,
1961 pennies that you want to find right now.
I love that 1961 pennies, a metaphor. Dan, while we're waiting for the audience to share ideas and thoughts, just go stream of consciousness with us and do a Dan Keller data dump on us.
But I like where Robert's going with it. So like, what are the reasons? And I just met with a client last night and we were talking about this. I call them the 3Ds, right? Death, divorce, and destitute. I mean, they're done, like financially broke. Those are the three reasons why people are selling right now. No one's messing around going, I wonder what I could get for my home. And so then the person that I was talking with last night was a real estate agent. And so we were kind of talking about how you find those people. Well, you can find death certificates online. I believe you can look that up. Real estate agents do it all the time with states. I'm pretty sure you can do something very similar with divorces, or you can just connect with divorce attorneys. So I was trying to mastermind, like, how do we go and create our own inventory right now, our own market right now? And then the last one, people that maybe have filed bankruptcy that own homes. So we were just taking each one of those categories and going a little bit deeper. And then I love what Robert and you guys just showed with that fishing diagram. What I was telling that particular real estate agent is you just have to be everywhere. Like, your content has to be everywhere. You've got to be on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook or wherever your audience is, you think they are. And so we built out a marketing plan with that particular realtor. He's going to come into our office, and we built out an online marketing plan for the next 60 days, next 2 months. And then obviously if something in the news happens, that's newsworthy, we jump in, and you got to be the first one to evaluate that info and get that information out. And so I think those are the 3 Ds. That's what I mean. And are there any other Ds that Deborah?
Desire.
I
Diapers.
want to jump in here. So first of all,
diapers and desire.
There's a lot more than the 3 Ds. There's, and again, the community has shared, there's job relocation. And here's what I have learned since being with Sales Boomerang and Trust Engine, is that the data is everything. And one of the things that we have found, because we have clients that are providing us with their entire database, and then we're analyzing, oh, a cash out alert was triggered. And we're finding that a large percentage of those cash out alerts are purchases. They're people that instead of doing a cash out, they're like selling their home and taking all their cash out. And a lot of them are turning into, and they bought a bigger home, a downsized home. So one challenge I have to everyone on this call right now, and an exercise I would do with your realtors, is take an hour and go through all, for agents, Dan, go to your agents and say, I want you to think of all your listings for the past 6 months and what was the reason. So it's like Smith family, reason. Jones family, reason. Like, let's not guess it. Let's not eyeball it. Like, let's go through for the entire year. By the way, it's only 4 months. And as mortgage professionals, let's do a little, what was the reason someone sold their home and bought a home? What was the reason? And let's be data driven, guys. And let's come back maybe at the next Stover session, whoever wants to participate in this little data study. And now let's come back with, this is what the data tells us. This is what the data tells us. I do like the 3Ds, and I do think the 3Ds is going to be, we're going to prove it out as being one of the cornerstones, but I think there's more than 3Ds, and I can't wait to see what we come up with.
Yeah, I want to throw some other ones out, like the death one. One of our neighbors died. The home's up for sale now. There's a lot of homes where parents have passed away, and it goes to the children. And I happen to know this because I used to work with a guy that made his living doing this. And what happens is the children get the home, and almost always there's a deferred maintenance on it. So now they're like stuck. Oh, crud. We've just been handed this thing. We can't sell it to get the money out for our inheritance without putting tens of thousands of dollars that we don't have into it. What do we do with it? And they're stuck in this deferred maintenance thing. Without fail, somebody's got, one of the cousins steps up, or one of the guy's kids. Well, my college kid will move into it. He'll make rent. And then we can just do that while we're kind of figuring this out. And then that guy moves into it. And then without fail, he stops making payments. And then he's family, so they don't know what to do. So all this stuff I'm talking around is something you would put out into social media. You know what? I have a lot of people that talk with me. They've inherited or about to inherit a home. They're concerned about this. They're concerned about that. They're concerned about whatever. That's one of your pieces of bait that you put out, one of your pieces of content. Does that apply to everyone in the market? No, it's really tight. But everyone else on your list and your database and your social media is going like, wow, this guy's giving some good advice. Guess what? Divorce. You go into ChatGPT and go, what are things that someone going through divorce should consider about their home mortgage? Trust me, do that thing and you will have really awesome articles. They'll come up to you. Is everybody going through divorce? No, I think I looked it up and it's like 2 out of 1,000 people are doing that right now. But then you write your list and you go, it's not fun to talk about, but occasionally I have people that come to me and they're struggling with these issues around divorce and things. And here's how I advise them. And you put that piece out and get that content out. Another one are folks that have like my neighbors 2 doors down. His business has gone bonkers. He's in the home remodeling business, and he's a supplier, and he's sitting on massive cash. Well, he's going to go buy a $2 million home right now. He's moving. So right in my own neighborhood, I've got someone that's passed away. The home's going for sale. And I've got someone that's struck it rich, and they don't care what the stuff is. They want to move his family into a really nice home and get on with it. So how would you talk to him about moving up and what to consider and things like that in this market? So there's so many of those. And so, but you're never going to find them unless you're going, I am looking for a 1961 penny with a D mint and it's missing the signature on the back. And then you write your content to that. So you just don't say and spray. Can you do other content? Absolutely. But you want to go hunting. That's the only way my kid found that coin, was he knew exactly what he was going through when he looked through everything and all those coins that he found. So let me show you some other tools here. Let me switch here, Dave.
And Stover, I know, or not Stover, Dan, we're going to lose you in 10 minutes. Is there any specific questions you have or anything you've done from a ChatGPT standpoint that you want to share with everyone? Because I know you got to go in 10 minutes.
No, it's nothing that I've done. I'm here more to learn and get ideas. All I'm really doing with ChatGPT right now is sharing it with realtors, going, I believe that this was built for you guys. The ones especially that are anti creating content. It's essentially going to, like what Robert just said, is you type in one thing and it's going to tell you what to post and how to post it and what to say on video. So I just think it's one more sign. Is what I've told all my realtors. It's just one more sign. You've heard it from Deborah. You've heard it from me. You've heard it from all these influencers out there. It's just, guys, it's just one more sign. You need to start creating content, and they just made it easier.
Hey, Robert, quit sharing the screen real quick, because I want to get this, and we might even want to create some micro content around the question I'm going to ask Dan. And you may even repeat a little bit about what you said, but before people leave, I want them, because they're getting these lessons from Robert. And now it's like, okay, I got to take these lessons and I want to be more valuable to agents. So I literally want to hear you. Forget about what you just said, even if you're repeating yourself. How does Dan Keller bring the AI/ChatGPT conversation and value prop to a real estate agent? How do you do that? Dan.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Robert.
No, I'm talking to you, Dan, before you go, because you got to leave in 8 minutes now.
Yeah.
How does Dan Keller bring this conversation to a real estate agent? I want to just hear your scripting. We might even want to create some micro content around it.
Yeah, after today, I was trying to take a screenshot of I'll just ask you to email me that little fishing diagram with the little TVs and the comment emojis down there. It's a conversation that I had yesterday with a guy that owns a local sporting goods shop, one of the top sporting goods shops in the area. I had him on my podcast, and we were talking about fishing. The lean cod opener, for example, is Monday, but there's a different fishery coming at the end of the month. And he was talking about how many lines you have in the water. And in Washington State, you can pay extra money to have a two fishing pole endorsement. So instead of just me with my one pole, I could have 4 guys on the boat and have 8 poles, 8 lures in the water, for example. He said the whole idea when you're fishing is to have as many lures, and they have flashers that cause a lot of commotion that attract fish. And he goes, the idea is to have as many lines in the water, not to catch as many fish possible, but it's to attract the schools of fish to a couple of your lures. That's all Robert's talking about here. And when you're looking at that, you've got all these, you're going to mastermind these 5, 6, 7 different ways, topics to create content. You're going to create content around them. And they're just lures. They're flashers, and they're going to attract those different people. But I love his metaphor with the penny. You got to be deliberate in what you're marketing. So each one is specific and valuable, is a specific and valuable piece of content. So I love that. I'm just sharing this with realtors at this point right now, that this is what we have to do. We're up in Seattle. There is no inventory, 0 inventory. And it's painful. It's painful for loan officers. It's painful for realtors. And that's just an excuse though, because there is plenty of inventory. There's plenty of people out here that own homes. There's plenty of people. Deb just texted me I'm not going to steal this from you, Deb, so I'm giving you credit. So Deb would say this anyways. Sure, her 5 Ds are diamonds, diapers, divorce, disease, and deployment. I can do a lunch and learn on the 5 Ds, like right there. How to go out and get 2 or 3 new transactions in the next 30 to 60 days, leveraging the 5 Ds. Come to find out what the 5 Ds are. Just stuff like that. And then I'm going to call Robert and go, hey, help me create some content around the 5 Ds.
Yeah. And now you can just call ChatGPT.
Right?
Yeah, I love the 5 Ds.
Yeah, and it really comes down to how do we uncover hidden opportunities that everyone else isn't doing, and how do we teach realtors to do it? That's why I love this photo and this metaphor, like, the behaviors that are hidden from us, and how do we pull those up? That's where you really start creating a unique competitive advantage in the market.
Hey, Dave. So here's the other thing. And this is, I think, a message to all loan officers and all realtors. That's assuming, Dave, that everyone is going to listen to everything that you and Robert and Deb and Todd are talking about today. That's assuming that every realtor is going to take in the 5Ds and build a marketing program around each of them. We all know that 95% or more of loan officers and realtors aren't going to listen to anything we talk about today. So there's your advantage right there. Uncovering additional ways is your key is going to be implementation. The sooner you can implement ChatGPT, the stuff that Robert is talking about, the 5Ds that Deb's talking about, the sooner you can do that, that's your advantage. That's how to uncover an advantage right there. Because everyone's not going to do this.
So, and Dan, I just shared this image with you guys. I will put this in the Facebook group, although it is going to continue to evolve. And so stay tuned.
Sure. I love that.
I think it's interesting. I feel like where people get stuck is on the questions to ask ChatGPT. That's the question that I keep getting is, well, I try stuff, but I'm not getting all the things other people tell me they're getting. I mean, I see people post that they're getting PowerPoint presentations and all sorts of other things created by ChatGPT. And then I ask a realtor or another loan officer if they're doing that, and they're like, well, I don't even know what questions to ask to get the results I want.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's ChatGPT is all about the prompts and what you use. And we're gonna, on one of the next slides, I'll share one and how to set it up so it gives you good content for this market. But it's a good point. It's they're now calling the chat guys prompt engineers, prompt pilots. The whole game's going to the people that know how to do the prompts as it goes along. But we'll work on I've got a list of prompts from 2 weeks ago. I've got some from the chat we did with Kristen on Friday, and I've got some more that they'll see today. And I'm happy to cut and paste those in for them to use and tighten them to their own specific situation as they go through.
Cool.
Want to give Dan any final words? I think he's running out of.
Stover, anything you think we should ask Dan before he has to leave?
So one of Dan's most powerful strategies, and I've used it for different companies and I've set people up to do this, is getting in front of people as an authority. And so Dan just excels at getting in front of realtors. I've encouraged people to talk to the office manager, show them the illustration and go look at all this opportunity they're missing. And I want to do a talk on how they can capture this opportunity. But I'd love to hear Dan. In the next 3 weeks, you have to have 3 office meetings where they invite you in to talk with their people. Who are you talking to? What are you saying? How are you getting the invitation?
Yeah, let me share. I want to share something with you guys first, and then I'll answer that because I think this is a really big success story. So I'm in a coaching program, much like most coaching programs in the mortgage industry. They require you to call realtors, maybe on a specific day or maybe just a number throughout the week, right? My number is 50. And I've kind of gotten away from just the regular call. What I do is my calls to realtors, I call them account executive calls. And we've talked about this on a previous mortgage coach training, but it's calling with a purpose. I only call for 3 reasons. 1, to fill them in on a new product. Number 2, to invite them to an event, or number 3, to update them. And an event might be a face-to-face coffee meeting, or it might be a public event or mastermind I'm holding. And then the 3rd is to talk to them about a pre-approval or lead. Okay. Those are the only 3 reasons why I'm calling realtors. If we don't have leads, I'm inviting them to an event or I'm calling them to talk with them about a new product. Okay. So I get a call the other day. These are inbound calls. And this happened over probably a 10-day period where I had 3 different realtors call me with referrals that I've never done business with. And they said, you know what, Dan? And literally all 3 of them said this in their own words. We are getting bombarded with phone calls from lenders, and it's always about them. It's always about going to coffee or going to lunch. When we get a call from you, it's about value. It's inviting me to an event where you have a top producing realtor or a videographer or someone to talk about social media or a product. Or when you call me, it's an update on FHA's new MI guidelines or VA dropping their funding fee, or just recently, like the LLPA stuff that we're seeing in the news. And they're like, you know what, the signs are there. I'm not having a great experience with my lender. We're thinking about making a switch and we'd like to give you a chance. I got 3 new referrals from that over the last, let's just say 2 weeks. And a light bulb went off in my head that I'm teaching my loan officers this now to really focus on just those 3 reasons why we're calling realtors. And when you call them, bring as much value as possible. That ties right into this stuff. And so as far as stuff that we can bring realtors, if you can help them close more business, if you can help them get referrals, if you can help them with their marketing, that's valuable. And so I wanted to share that success story with you first and foremost. So when you're making phone calls to realtors, call them, because we have to call them, but have a purpose in every single call. It's not, I haven't taken a realtor out to coffee or lunch in a long time. I'm having them do site visits. I'm showing them my studio. I'm introducing them to my team and our wow loan process. That's a valuable meeting versus shooting the shit over a cup of coffee. So that's one thing. Robert, I totally forgot your question. What was your question again?
Good enough. How would you specifically work on getting booked where a for example, an office manager, broker owner invites you in to over lunch, talk with his people, and for example, grab this presentation with the stair steps and go, look, here's what people are doing. Here's what their questions are. You know, look at all this opportunity here in your database, coins on the floor, and here's how to go in and get them. And here's some tools. Take the ChatGPT. I'm going to show them here in a minute. How would you get in front of folks for an office talk?
Yep.
Where you're not just talking to one, but many.
Yeah. So that's the best idea, getting in front of the office. Number one, you go to the gatekeeper, you go to either the person at the very front and ask them to speak to the managing broker or owner. And that's exactly what I do, or I find out who that person is. Okay. And you go straight to the top and you just hit them right between the eyes with it that, hey, I'm a lender. And I've got some information that I've got to get in front of your agents. They're going to tell you that they have an in-house lender or whatever. They're going to blow you off. And it just exactly what I said at the Modern Mortgage Summit. That's just a little pebble in the road. It's not a boulder. And then I always reply with, listen, I understand that you as a broker owner make money on realtors until they cap. And I understand that the capping agents, the onesie twosies, no longer exist in this market because of the lack of the low-hanging fruit, right? And they say yes. And I go, good. So if I could help your agents that really aren't doing much right now that you used to make money on because they haven't capped and they won't cap, if I can help them go manufacture some business and put more money in your pocket, increase the morale in your office, well, isn't that why you're a business owner? Isn't that why you own a real estate office? Then they say yes. And then I tell them what I've got. Hey, I've got a presentation. It's 15 minutes on the new LLPAs. There's 3 ways to hack. I call it mortgage hacking. Have you heard of mortgage hacking? They say no. Cool. I've got 3 ways to mortgage hack with the new LLPAs. Love to come in and share that with you. Cool. I'm going to now use Deb just texted me that slide of the boat. I'm going to use that as my next one to get in. So we have plenty of content, you guys. It's just a matter of making the phone call and then dodging the objection and showing the value. All these people want money. These real estate broker owners are losing money just like the mortgage industry branch managers are right now too.
So guys, I love what Dan Keller just said. Use the reactions below. Let Dan know what you thought, but pure gold, brother. Thank you.
Awesome. So I'm thinking I'm going to get in trouble. So Dan, what if we take that talk slide and we work on specific prompts realtors can use and specific targets, the 5 Ds and such. And I work back and forth with you on creating that into a chat, an outline for a talk that they could do. And maybe work on some promo stuff that'll help them knock on the door, introduction script, stuff like that. And a chat outline that they could do in front of an office. And then as MortgageCoach and Trust Engine clients, we share that with them.
How about, guys, I'm going to the Kentucky Derby next week, so I'm not going to be here on Friday. You guys mind doing that session together next Friday? And I don't know if Deb and Todd, if you're going to be there, but is that cool if we make that the Friday mastermind next week? Any objections?
Good with me.
Dan's in. All right. So
all right, we'll let Deborah run that. I'll be at Jazz Fest enjoying some music. So probably at that time I'll be eating some alligator stew and having a local brew.
Yeah, well, I'll be doing a tour of a of a Kentucky Derby.
I
triple
need to
crown.
see the outfit, Dave. I need to see your outfit going into the
Oh,
Derby.
I'm sure.
I need
I'll
to see.
post
We
it
need
on
to see it.
social.
It's going to
All
be a
right.
yellow plaid suit with a no borrower left behind shirt underneath it.
Yeah, no, I've been kind of debating how into it I'm going to get, but I'll make sure there's some photos, some documentation. And Dan, do you or actually the three of you guys come up with a headline, and I'll send out an invite to the three of you, and we'll come up with a great way to market that. And by
I
the way,
feel like I need a,
hey, Stover, what are your thoughts about this next week's call is bring your realtor? You know, like, hey, loan officers, show up to this call and bring an agent. Do you think that's
Yeah.
aligns with what you want to do next week?
yeah, I'll have to kick the can with Dan. We'll text.
Okay, so
And
think about that. Anyone, whether you're watching the recording this at our YouTube channel, you're watching this live. First of all, do you like the idea that these guys do the session they just talked about, and we design it so that if you brought a realtor, it would have value, or if you shared the video, it would have value? Does anyone like that idea?
one person does.
Okay, we got a couple. All right, we will do that. All right. Well, Dan, I know, do you have more time, or do you got to get jumping just so we could hand it back to Stover? And
Hand it back to Stover. I got to run.
okay, so Stover, I know you have some planned things you want to go through, and I'm going to shut up. Todd and Deborah, if you guys have questions for Stover, you guys jump in. Rock it
Well, yeah,
out.
I'm going to ask Deborah to jump in on, because she's way more aware of how she'd use this on social media and the type of content bits and memes and bites and education pieces. So I'd like to toss it to her before I go into the next chunk, is toss it to her, and let's take what we've gotten so far and get her interpretation of how she would get this out over the socials.
Well, so the first thing that we're doing, I use it more for enhancing kind of the initial thought. And I've been a little careful in running it through to make sure that AI it's not detected, and also just making sure that it's in line with how I would speak or how most people would speak. Because I do think when you're writing, especially captions on social, it needs to be conversational language, not like, a thesis. And so sometimes some of the prompts, like I usually will say, write a social media caption, and sometimes I'll say with SEO keywords, in the interest of a mortgage professional. So saying things like in the interest of, mortgage, using 3 to 5 hashtags that is meant to attract, home buyers. So like giving it all the framing and the context. And then based off a content strategy and what our theme days are for, the month and the week, I then just kind of edit and tweak from there. But you do have to be careful, like it's not that it's dated, but it goes up to 2021 for those who may not know. So if you're writing things like, what are the best hooks on YouTube today for, mortgage professionals or real estate professionals, they can only give you data up to 2021, which, as we know, the market in 2021 was very different than today's market. But I'm also using it for things like, write a video script, and I'll give an initial thought of an idea, and then I just kind of tweak and edit from there. Because again, sometimes it's like too emoji happy for my liking. I do like emojis and captions, but sometimes it's too much. And you can say, write it with personality, write it in a professional tone. I also use the plugin. I don't know if you use it, Robert, the AIPRM plugin. Have you seen that?
I don't use that.
It gives you a lot of different prompt examples built into ChatGPT. So, like a course creator, 30 social media posts and image suggestions. Challenges is it can be just a little vanilla in my liking. And of course, I'm always pushing our clients to do the TCA Tuesday, where you're using data to prove your words, because
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of too many talking head videos. I feel like we have too many of them, and people just don't believe the bullshit words anymore. They want you to prove it. So when you can throw in a TCA, or show the graphic of credit card debt and how much people are in a lot of debt, and where maybe a cash out refinance could really help relieve some families out there, that could be like their last lifeline is a cash out refinance, and just educating them that trading in that lower interest rate could actually help you long term. But again, they're not going to believe you if it's just lip service. If you have the TCA within there, it helps give you that credibility.
All right. So let's go. Somebody asked you what the name of that plugin was. You can.
I'll type it in the chat. Yeah. Ooh,
All right. So one of the questions that came up, so there's two questions. What's the specific prompts we use? And the other is what you just addressed is the data is 2 years old.
mhm.
And so what do we do about that? So I worked up a prompt. I'm jumping ahead here. Is I found out that if you put the current market conditions, don't say this market, because this market to it, like you mentioned 2 years ago, and it says, you know, hey, go crazy. But if you actually put in the parameters and the problems of this market, it will actually kick back rock solid stuff that appeals to this market, because it's researched low interest rate markets before, it's researched high interest rate markets before, and it's researched low inventory before. And so it pulls all that data together when you ask it in the prompt. So this prompt, if you can't, I don't know how big it's showing up on folks' screens, but write a blog article for homeowners that have low interest loans, high equity, and want to, that should be sell, not tell their home, and move up, but are concerned about current high interest rates. Cover the pros and cons, such as waiting out the market or selling because high interest rates reduce the number of buyers who qualify for a mortgage, thereby reducing competition, etc. So I threw in current market stuff, and you or Todd or Dave could do this prompt far better than me as experts in the loan industry. But the article that it popped out, it was a ChatGPT 4, because sometimes that does matter. Again, it's more of a college thesis, but it's rock solid. Like, you take this, put it into your own language, take snippets of it, and just address one of them each time. Here's some of the pros, here's some of the cons. Talk about one specific thing. But by stacking the prompt, you can make it address current market conditions, because it knows what all those different things are, just not together right now. And then also it gets it in the back. Let me show you another one. We talked on this slide about all of the questions that people have. Quora does questions, another prompt I've used. I'm a market researcher. I'm searching Quora for posts about how people naturally express themselves, how they naturally phrase things when asking questions about thinking of selling a home. So again, I'm targeting specifically, I want sellers in this market. And so I throw it out. What are 40 expressions associated with thinking of selling a home across Quora? And it popped out all of these in seconds. You can scan through them. Not all of them are valuable to you in this market, but some are rock solid. And you can get out there. And so here's 40 different articles or topics that you can then go back in and prompt it on, write an article to a home seller about this. Stacking, like here I did, I'm a market research. A lot of the prompts I've used is, I'm a real estate finance expert, and I love helping people use their home finance to create wealth and financial security. How should I advise somebody who's looking at the following scenario? They have low interest rate at home, they have high equity, they want to move up, but they're concerned about the paying a higher interest rate. How should I advise them? If you use that prompt, you're going to get solid gold coming back. That's current and addresses this market and stuff. Let's jump to another tool. There's plugins like Deb mentioned. There's plugins coming that will allow Chat AI to hook to the current internet. One of my friends, he's on an early beta thing. He already has it, and it's right out of the chat window. In the meantime, there's perplexity.ai. And the easiest way, I'm gonna stop the share here, switch over to another one. There we are. So over here, you type in your question and it pops up and you'll see it gives notes. According to the survey, many home fillers still trapped in their homes due to low mortgage rates. So, and then it gives you things. Well, down here, it lists the articles it drew from. And these are all current. The low rates make it difficult for them to justify selling their homes and taking on a higher interest rate. The feelings shared by majority sellers, 82% of those surveyed say they feel locked into their current homes. So we talk about bait, and what people are selling is creating content around that feeling of being, and you'll see some of the articles, they talk about, I feel trapped. We feel like we can't do anything. We got this incredible low interest, and now it's a curse because we can't move up. And so they have all these feelings and emotions going on under the surface that no one else is addressing. None of your competitors are addressing them. So what I did is I just clicked on, you know what? I want to click on this one, Yahoo, and see what it's about. Oh, by the way, also what Perplexity does is it will take related questions and it gives them down here, and you can expand them. We'll just go ahead and, what are the consequences of feeling trapped in a home? Who knows what it comes up with? But anyway, it gives you more prompts to follow. It's the rabbit trail. And then it gives you more. What are the options for people who feel trapped? It's almost outlining your content for you here. So now let's jump to the actual article. What I did is I didn't even read this. I just came over. It looked like, okay, it's pretty solid. It's got a lot of stats and facts and things like that. And I just highlighted the entire article. And then I went over to chat. Oh, it's going to reload on me. Don't do it. So went over to chat. Here's another great thing for you guys to use. Grab an article or a couple articles and put that. Can everybody read that? And this is great. I kept the misspelling in for this talk. I caught it and I was like, the content was great. So you can be a misspeller like me and still get great content as this goes out. So I said, summarize the article below and list the main points in a bullet point list, expand on each one. Here's the article. Copy, paste it right in. I dropped in the article and then it gives me the summary. Here's your main points. Elevated home prices, over 85% of sellers. Younger homeowners typically have more mortgage debt, are more likely. Gen Z, this, that, the other. So that's a rock solid outline. So it sucked it out. Now I want to turn that into content. So here's where the prompt comes in again. You're a real estate finance expert and advisor. So a lot of times on this prompt, they call it acting as if. And so you tell the ChatGPT what it is. You are a real estate finance expert and advisor. You love helping homeowners build. So you write to chat as if it's the expert. For whatever reason, it puts out better content when you do that. You help them create increase their financial security through real estate. You have a lot of clients who are concerned about moving up in a new home when their current interest rates are so low, but the current market interest rate is high. So there again, I didn't say in this market. Define what's going on. Write an article advising them on the pros, cons, and options of moving up into a new home or being patient and waiting for the market to change. And it puts out this masterpiece here. And it's great. Now, you as a lender look through and you might not like all the points. Take them out, put it into your voice. Tell it to rewrite it as a 5-year-old. You can do all of those things. But as a rock solid foundation for bait that you can use in this market, this method pulls that out for you that you can use. And again, that you can show your realtors how to do this. Pros of moving up, cons of moving. So I'm going to address that. So I love doing pros, cons, and negatives because you're an expert advisor. If all you do is you should sell, you should sell, you should sell, you come off uncredible. If you address both sides of the issue, your credibility goes up and they're far more likely to trust you and do a deal either now or in the future as you go. Pros of waiting, cons of waiting, because there are cons of waiting. This is kind of pretty interesting on the missed opportunities because people are scared and hunkered. And so it goes into those. And then I take the whole thing and go, what are 10 persuasive headlines for the article above? And it comes out headlines. almost every one of these I would personally modify to something. But again, it's 1,000 times easier to write when somebody hands you 10 headlines and to modify them than it is to start from scratch and cold. So there's a whole sequence starting from perplexity. I ask it a question: what are the consequences of feeling trapped in a home? I take one of the articles and highlight it. I drop it in and tell it to summarize it and expound. It gives me the rock solid thing. Every one of these could be an article if you wanted it to. I give it very specific instructions. I set it up, and then it cranks out the stuff, and I create my headlines and my content from it. So it took me longer to explain it in this chat than it did to do it, which is insane. So here's where being strategic, knowing the lures you want to throw out into that database, knowing what people could even possibly move up in this market, target them. Now comes the chat. You can target, you don't need the chat to do all that. You can go, oh, I would say this and I would do this, and you don't need the chat. The chat just makes it 1,000 times easier to actually get it done. So Todd, why don't you talk about, I talked a little bit about Dave on a offline, is one of my concerns is we show all this stuff and it's kind of fun to play with and no one does it.
Yeah,
no one's
that's always a
going out
challenge,
and-
right? The taking out action piece is definitely a huge challenge. Can I ask you just one clarifying question real quick? Just from a technical perspective, I know early on you were a big user of Jasper for AI. Here you're using ChatGPT. Are you still using both of those? And then are you using a free or a paid version of ChatGPT?
This is a paid version of ChatGPT. The free version, I don't think it gives you access to 4. It may, but it limits you. So this is a paid version. Jasper's still rock solid, but you have to be trained on how to use it. And I found that's where a lot of people fell off the bus as it started getting too technical. So it was designed around online internet marketers and copywriters who have structures and stuff cold. They know what they're doing. And so when they go in, it was easy for them to know what the difference between things were, how to prompt it and things. So Jasper is changing. They're coming out with new upgrades with ChatGPT 4 and more of this. But even then, when you'd prompt it with a long article, it'd write a couple paragraphs and then you'd have to reprompt it. Where I found out ChatGPT 4, as you can see right here, was putting out complete whole pieces of content. And so as a, if you want to be a full-time copywriter, Jasper still has the edge. If you want to spend a lot of time writing copy and doing this, Jasper probably still has the edge because of all of the different tools and workflows it has in it. But I found a lot of loan officers don't want to be copywriters and marketers. They want to be loan officers. And so it was easier to demonstrate and show this using this.
Got it. So, all right. So going back to what your original ask was about taking action, right? And I think that's a challenge, right? You're all thinking, oh my gosh, what is the article I'm going to use and put in there? So all I'm going to challenge you to do is do the exact thing. We got an article from Robert on people being stuck in their homes. And so take that article, go to ChatGPT, put it in, do this. And then again, as Deborah said, you don't want to talk like a robot. So you have to come in there and then just go through and edit it so that it sounds like you, and then commit that you're going to have this article done and out by Sunday, or, you overachievers by the end of business today, right? It's going to take you, let's say it's your first time. Let's give you block an hour to do it, and then block an hour over the weekend at some point where you can peel off and be by yourself, right? For me, I do that when I'm drinking my coffee in the morning. I could sit there and I can educate myself or do something, to move my business forward, and then just commit. You're going to put an article out by the weekend, and then for accountability, throw it into the Trust Engine Mastermind group so that someone else can see what you did. Now, I'll tell you guys, when you see someone else put their article in there, don't steal their article exactly, right? That's not what we should be doing, although we talk about the swipe and adapt a lot. But go ahead and then do your own and put yours in there, and let's see how many different articles we can put out there to educate our community over the weekend. Any other advice on that, Deborah?
No. again, it just comes back to time blocking and having a plan and being intentional with your time. That's what I love about the Win by Noon planner, not to make a plug for Win by Noon, but guys, I use it even with my own clients where when you're very clear and you have your content pillars built out and you have the time block for it, ChatGPT just helps with you being more efficient. Also helps with spell check. So a lot of you guys know I'm the worst speller and my grammar's not always great. So that's the other thing that I love about ChatGPT is I can, start there, then edit. And it's always easier to edit, and have things spelled correctly. That's important.
I think Dave and I are second worst spellers. So just saying.
Oh, no.
But it is really important to.
I'm the worst speller of this group.
Yeah. But sometimes, that creates engagement. So I have made errors before, I think even on your account, Todd, and you'll have those people that say, I think you spelled this wrong, and just leave it and carry on the conversation and say, I was just checking to see how many people were paying attention. But it is really important to make sure that you go and revise, like don't just copy and paste, because guys, all of you on this call could do the very same prompts or examples, and then everyone's just creating cookie cutter content. That's why, even with my own clients for May, I'm putting a hard push on people to get uncomfortable and do your videos and show your TCAs in the videos and use data to prove your value and not just the lip service.
So couple closing thoughts, and then Todd, I'll hand it off to you for the full close. But one, I want you guys to notice, Dan Keller stayed on and he actually put a prompt in. He actually put it to host and panelists, and I just gave it to everyone. So if you're watching this in chat, there's a Dan Keller prompt. I will try to make sure this is also in the YouTube recording, because that is our biggest audience, is that. And remind you guys, share your prompts. Also, really want to push the community to be data driven. And I would love to know if you went through all the purchases that you've closed this year and you identified what was the driving purpose of the consumer in this market. Like I really want to leverage this community, leverage the data, have you go to your realtors. I'm assuming most loan officers have a lot more purchases than any one realtor, but I would really make it a project to do this survey. And then, by the way, that's good marketing. Hey, I did this survey and this is what I found. So not only is it a way for you to really craft content that solves problems in unique ways in this market, it's great leadership, and by the way, those are great conversations with realtors to say, hey, I'm doing some research so I can help you get to people beneath the surface, use that visual and drive this. And then reminder, guys, next Friday is going to be Deborah, Stover, and Dan really breaking down how to deliver a realtor meeting, whether that's a lunch and learn. Todd, you want to wrap a bow around today's call?
Well,
one thing can I add to that real quick? Because it reminds me of the call we did with Phil and Jones, where remember when he said to get good at keeping data on, I'm buying a home because ... and keep record of what people are saying, or I'm selling a home today because yeah.
Yeah, this should be modus operandi. Like, one of the things, we had an offsite strategy session, and there's a term called speed to lead. Everybody knows it. Guys, that's old school. The new school is speed to need. The loan officer that not only gets the lead, but finds out the need wins. Speed to need is how we sell in this next.
Dude, that's gold.
Yeah, Alex, our chief marketing officer, gets credit for that. And we're looking to help you guys disrupt. Like, make sure you have the signals beneath the surface, and you have the content to be the first one with solving the needs of the consumer. Speed to need. Todd, wrap it up.
That was a mic drop, but give me 90 more seconds for those of you who've invested an hour or less if you're watching this on YouTube on a faster speed, which I know is hard with how fast I talk. But the bottom line is this, is that that was an hour of pure gold. We all know that the number one question that our realtors have is how are they going to use AI in their world. And then Robert just walked us through how he is using it, how he would use it as a loan officer. Dan walked you through the conversations that he is having with his real estate agents to make this relevant. And so the bottom line is you all need to invest time, right? As we said, I challenged you already to do a post, and just don't overthink it. Do the post that Robert did. If you are an overachiever, like I know Deborah's going to find some other article and she's going to do that article. Great. You can do that too. But the bottom line is keep it simple, right? Complexity is the enemy of profitability. And I think the bottom line is we all need speed. Well, I said need already. We all want speed to need. We got to all own that, use that going forward. And, as always, it's a learning experience for me to be here alongside of all of you. It's not me here to teach and talk, but I do need to have you figure out that it's important to you to take action. So on behalf of Dave, the whole crew at Trust Engine, Deborah, the crew over there at Plug and Play SM, Robert, and whatever his company's called. Robert, what is your company called? Is Robert Stover?
RobertStover.com.
There we go, on robertstover.com, and myself and my team over at Win by Noon. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you so much and can't wait to see you all next week.
Take care, everybody. And I'll be in Kentucky next week, so I won't.
Yeah,
see
have fun watching the Derby, Dave.
And-
Drink
and
up
post your
Julep
picture.
for all of
you.
us.
Have fun in New Orleans, brother.
All right,
Thanks,
will do.
everybody.